Hello and welcome to episode 341 of the Total Saints podcast, your home for all things Southampton Football Club. Before we start, a huge thank you as always to our TSP Patreon community, because we couldn't make the show each week without your loyal support. And a special thank you to Mark Redstall, who has joined our Bobby Stokes tier this week. So welcome to the family, Mark, and thank you for your support. Coming up on the podcast this week, Caspar, Jander and Flynn Azaz scored their first Saints goals as Tonda Eckert's hopes of becoming full-time manager were boosted with a 3-1 win over Sheffield Wednesday. Going to look back at the game and we'll discuss the latest on the hunt for a new manager as well. And after the international break, we visit Charlton and our old mate Nathan Jones. So we'll take a little look ahead to that game as well. My name is Martin Stark, and joining me this week, as always, Steve Grant, who is the owner of Saints Web. Glenn Delacour is writer of the blog League 1-10, and Alfie House is senior Southampton reporter for the Daily Echo. So, what a weekend. Saints have won back-to-back league games for the first time since April 2024. We even managed to create a 2-goal lead. It was a solid enough performance, Alfie. We got the job done, and at times we played all right.
Yeah, 2-goal lead, as you mentioned. The first time we scored 3 goals in a game since April 2024 as well, I believe, or May 2024. And obviously it's back-to-back wins for the first time since then as well, the last championship season. So in that regard, 2 wins in a week, I think Tonda Eckert will be very happy with that. I mean, on the pitch, I thought Saints started really well. I think they deserved their opening couple of goals. Like you mentioned, Caspar Janders, that comes in a little bit of fortuitous fashion with some shocking goalkeeping, to be frank.
Their keeper was dreadful, wasn't he?
Yeah, their keeper was absolutely awful. We're talking about goalkeepers every week, but my word, it can get worse. It certainly can. But I think Ryan Manning had a really good sort of first half an hour as well, getting some balls into the box. And then we had the Flynn Downes goal, where Tom Fellows does really well to keep a cross alive, and he takes it back inside and he beats a man, he beats 2 men and sort of slips Flynn Downes in, who we know about his goal scoring record, but he hasn't done it yet, and it's a nice finish across the goal. So Saints are 2 goals up, and at that point, 17 minutes in the game, they really should be cruising home. Then we have another reminder of sort of why we are where we are, because the goal that Harry Amass scores for Wednesday about 10 minutes later is it looked a really good strike on first viewing. But I mean, first and foremost, defending shocking. He walks past 2 players, and then it takes a deflection. It bounces in front of Bazunu and sort of goes over his hand. I mean, people will point at Bazunu for that, and I think that's fair enough. But it did take a big nick, and it was probably
deflection, isn't it?
Yeah, it's probably a tricky one for him, but even still, it's not a very good goal to concede. So they go into half-time with the 1-goal lead. I'm sure they had a couple of chances before the break as well to get another one, but it's just slipped my mind. Maybe Glenn or Steve can remind me, there's a big chance just before the break.
Yeah, there was. Armstrong had a shot and their goalie butterfingered it again.
That's right,
and Azaz eventually picks up the rebound.
And if he put his foot through that a little bit more, maybe that wouldn't have been able to be blocked off.
It was behind him, to be fair, so it was difficult to get a full swing on it.
But then in the half-time break, we lose Flynn Downes to injury. We bring on Barnaby Williams, who's 18 or 19 years old. It's not exact. I'm pretty sure the Premier League says that his birthday is next week, so I think he's still 18. But I mean, Barnaby Williams was involved in a car collision last summer before last season. And he missed basically the entire year with an injury. And he's just sort of come out of nowhere for me. I mean, I know he's obviously played for 21s, but he's sort of come through everybody else to play 45 minutes for the first team. And Saints start the second half brilliantly. Adam Armstrong scores a really good team goal. There's a nice bit of passing around the back. Gavin Bazunu to Howard Bellis, and it's a lovely ball from Howard Bellis, who it seemed like he was stepping forward into space a little bit more in the entire game. And Tonda Eckert spoke about that at full time, saying that was sort of part of the game plan, have the 6s drop a little bit and get the wide fullbacks a bit further forward. It's a lovely pass. Adam Armstrong, great touch inside and pokes it past the goalkeeper to make it 3-1, with an entire half to play. And then from there, I think Sheffield Wednesday had about 70% of possession for the second half. It wasn't an amazing second half performance, and I'm sure Glenn and Steve will go through the reasons why. But I do also think we've been in that position before where we are the team 2 goals down. We're playing a team that were better than us last season, and we have a spirited second half performance, without really laying a glove, because the other team are happy for that to happen. And And I did feel there was an element of that for
bit
Saints.
like Tottenham away immediately springs to mind.
Yeah, and I think there was a bit of that with Saints. I think we were fairly happy for Sheffield Wednesday to play a bit and to sit in and just really take a comfortable win. 3-1 win, back-to-back wins for the week. Pretty comfortable, not a swashbuckling performance, but got the job done, got the points on the board. And we go into the break, a very interesting break now with a different feeling around the place. I felt that the whole stadium felt a little bit more energised. The fans, we'll talk about the fans, but they seem to enjoy it a bit more than they have done, certainly last weekend.
Yeah, it does make a difference, doesn't it? And Steve, plenty of room for improvement still. I don't think anybody's walking away from there yesterday thinking, we're back. This is it. Let's go.
No. I mean, you've got to take the result and the performance in the context of what you're up against. And we know that Sheffield Wednesday have such a threadbare squad as a result of the various embargoes and stuff they've been under. They're obviously still in administration. And they've got key players out injured. I mean, that goalkeeper is their Ethan Horvath is their second choice goalkeeper. Pierce Charles is a much better goalkeeper than him. And I don't think he'd have let that first one in a month of Sundays. But yeah, you can only beat what's in front of you. And we did that relatively comfortably. A couple of sort of slightly hairy moments in the first half. Looked like they might drag it back to 2-2 at one point. Bazunu made one decent save, sort of low down, which we managed to kind of hack clear fairly quickly. I mean, made a change for us to be first to react to a goalkeeper save. And yeah, as we mentioned, there were a couple of chances at the other end first half, which could have made the halftime team talk a little bit more sort of comfortable, I guess. But yeah, I mean, having started the second half the way we did, get that third goal, and all of a sudden everyone can relax. It's not that much of an issue. Wednesday had a few sort of pot shots. Really, they got into some sort of good wide areas, but it never felt that they were kind of seriously mounting any sort of comeback. I mean, had one taken. I mean, there was one that took a deflection and went about a yard wide. If that goes inside the post, then you kind of roll your eyes and think, "Oh God, here we go." But other than that, there was no real sign of a concerted comeback. I mean, Wednesday looked dead on their feet, didn't they? I mean, you got Barry Bannon sort of orchestrating things in midfield. I mean, Jan Valery played in central midfield for the whole game yesterday, and that kind of shows the sort of depth of their resources, when he'd be far better served playing in his natural sort of fullback or wingback position. But they've got what they've got, and you've got to do the job. And players stepped up, players that haven't necessarily done so this season. Azaz, we mentioned, has been very quiet. I mean, there was still a couple of proper sort of Carlton Palmer-esque first touches from him. One that led to, I think, that chance where Bazunu made the save. But yeah, other than that, I think everybody was kind of a solid 6.5, 7 out of 10. There was nothing outstanding, nothing dreadful. And I think with the resources we've got, compared to most teams in the league, if you are putting in your sort of plain average 6.5, 7.5 out of 10 week in, week out, you're going to win more games than you lose, I think. So yeah, we take the two wins in 4 days, get everyone sort of regrouped. Hopefully we've got a proper manager in place by the time we go to the Valley in 2 weeks' time. And hopefully this is the start of a little bit of a turnaround.
We did say, Glenn, didn't we, that it wasn't going to be easy, just, given how we've been playing and the fact that they're scrapping for their lives. And like Mark, who's watching, he says, I thought Wednesday weren't bad, considering their position. Well, a lot of it is not their fault, but it was tougher than maybe we thought.
Yeah, I mean, they set up quite defensively initially. It was kind of a 4-5-1, but of course we got the early goal, so that all changes, and they kind of had to play a little bit, and I thought what they did going forward was reasonable. I think we helped them a little bit with the way we played, particularly second half. As Alfie said, we kind of sat off a little bit, and I feel like we got away with a couple of things that you wouldn't necessarily get away with against a better side. But I thought Sheffield Wednesday, they came and had a go. Their fans were really good. I thought keeping the noise going the entire game, even though at one stage they must have thought they were going to get beat 6-0, because it's interesting because Matt Letizia was on the pitch before the game, wasn't he, saying about something he said I thought was quite decent when he said about if we score a first goal, we've got to go out and try and get a second and then try and get a third, because that would obviously serve us very well. It's obvious stuff, but we haven't done that this season.
No.
And we did it after the first goal. We went out to try and get a second goal, and then unfortunately it kind of stopped at that point. I thought the goal after half time was very, very important for making the game one that we could keep Sheffield Wednesday at arm's length. But overall, we made the game comfortable. It's exactly how you wanted it to be, in that we matched their sort of like effort and their spirit, which is something we haven't always done this season. And our better players, sort of like came to the fore. The fact, that was a lovely finish from Adam Armstrong. It was a good finish from Flynn Downes as well. There was good stuff going forward, and that was the difference between the two sides. So we matched them in the ugly side of the game, and and that's how it's supposed to be. Your better players come to the fore, and as I said, certain games this season hasn't always been like that. It's interesting. I mean, I'm not really saying that the players weren't trying before, but it seems like some have had a wake up call, and they're trying harder now. If you look at, like Taylor Howard-Bellis has been a bit of a monster the last two games, and it's like the player we had 2 years ago. Adam Armstrong, I thought was excellent yesterday, just with the amount of work he did as well, closing people down. There were so many sprints towards centre backs and the goalkeeper, maybe because he thought they were dodgy and he was likely to get a chance from it. But there was a lot of intensity.
Level, most of them are. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You are going to get chances occasionally, and it's about putting yourself in the position to give you the opportunity to capitalise on that one rare opportunity when it does happen.
There has been that little tactical tweak though, like as Glenn, as Alfie was saying, like he was talking about afterwards about like the bringing the number 6s a little bit lower, and maybe getting, I think he said, like get your half backs in more advanced position. So yeah, there is a certain amount of like the players actually maybe playing for somebody different, and it's clear that, well, to me anyway, I think that they weren't a fan of the previous manager, but he has made a few little tweaks here and there.
Yeah, if you're playing with a back three and just two in the centre of midfield, which is what we're doing, there is a danger that the two in midfield get outnumbered, and there is a danger that they get closed down whenever you're trying to play out. So that's why you need your wide centre backs to sort of like come into the midfield if they can. And both Stevens and Howard-Bellis were quite happy to sort of like bring the ball forward if there was a big space in front of them, and that hasn't happened up till now. So whether Will Steele was telling them not to do that. Another one of the problems I have with this formation is the two in midfield. And I've going back to Ralph Hasenhüttl days, you've got to be a certain type of player in order to play in a midfield too. You've got to have a lot of legs, and you've got to get around the park. You've got to tackle. And that was one of the problems I felt we had in the second half, and one of the things I thought we got away with, because though Barnaby Williams is a neat and tidy player, and I understand why Eckert put him in, because he'd seen him play there in that exact position for the 21s. I don't think we'd have got away with that against a better team. Joe Aribo was right there, but for some reason, young kid.
I mean, everybody saw Joe Aribo a week ago.
Very true.
I mean, there was no mobility there at all. Whereas an 18-year-old lad, you would assume, I think, for a central midfielder, that he's going to have bundles of energy and he's going to be wanting to demonstrate and show himself. Joe Aribo doesn't really have to prove himself to anybody here, but Williams has got he's just starting his career, and therefore he's got everything to prove, and I think you're always going to see a lot more energy out of him.
Yeah, I mean, if it was a calculated gamble because he thought the opposition weren't great and we could get away with it, then fine. But I'm not. If you'd have been playing Preston or Middlesbrough, I don't think that sub would have been on. But there you go. It's something it's turned out well in the end. So happy days, and you can move on to the international break the next 2 weeks, and and of course we've got a new midfielder.
Yes, he was on the pitch yesterday.
absolutely. So hopefully the sort of lack of resources in midfield are a thing of the past.
Just on Howard before we move on, Glenn, in your opinion, or Steve, or mine, whoever, is it actually a very basic oversight that we've been playing him on the left of the three just to accommodate Ronnie Edwards this entire time, rather than just playing Jack on the left and Taylor on the right?
We haven't got a left-footed centre-back, have we? So Quasi's not left-footed.
Quasi can use his left, I think.
Can he? Really?
He was known as being extremely two-footed in Germany, but I mean, but what we've been doing is we've been playing obviously Taylor on the left and Ronnie on the right for a good period of quite a few games now. Whereas on reflection, Taylor's way better on the right. Like just that being able to step inside and to play in behind.
That ball yesterday, yeah.
So might have been go on.
But he was playing on the right-hand side against Hull when Jack Stevens was playing on the left. So, someone's got to play on the left. And whether you take more away, it's what do you take away from Taylor's game if you move him to the left-hand side? What does Jack Stevens, what gets added to his game if he plays on the right? There's a balance to be had there. But yeah, the basic problem is not having a left-footed centre half, I think.
It was a good atmosphere, Alfie. I guess the Gary O'Neill chants from the Northern would have been heard in the director's box because you could hear them up where you were, making their opinions pretty clear about that yesterday, which I thought was quite funny.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Dragan was sat about 2 meters behind me and I could hear them loud and clear. So Dragan certainly could. And obviously the director's box is even closer. So, yeah. It surprised me, to be fair. It did surprise me. I've not heard anything like that at St. Mary's before. But ultimately, this is the Northern End, and they've made their opinions clear. I don't know what the full story is. I know there's been like another rumor today that Footy Insider put out that Saints are advancing in talks. I put that to Saints.
That's definite then.
Yeah, I put that to Saints, and I said
Footy Insider 24/7 ITK.
Exactly. Yeah. I put it to Saints, and I said, "Is this rubbish?" And they said, "Yeah." Obviously it is. So they're saying it's rubbish. It's always felt a little bit unlikely for the reasons we spoke about on Thursday. Yeah. But yeah, obviously he was made favourite after Charlie Austin's comments during the week, and a lot of money went on him, obviously from fans, and they made their opinions clear. I think it's fair enough. I mean, it would be a massive oversight if they were to appoint him now. I don't think you could do that now.
He's still second favourite, but he's also, I think, second favourite for the Norwich job and also the Middlesbrough job. So it kind of proves to me that...
Also, Gary O'Neill withdrew himself.
Both of those are ex-players as well.
Yeah. Gary O'Neill withdrew himself from the Wolves job last week because of the fans not having him. So, I mean, why would Gary O'Neill walk into St. Mary's now? So, I mean, he wouldn't, would he? So...
An interesting point, Steve, about Romeo, though, and what an important addition he's going to be. Just kind of reinforced yesterday with Flynn Downes having to go off with a muscle problem. If it's not his stomach, then it's a muscle. It's not great, is it, at the moment? So Romeo's going to have to get up to speed pretty quickly and could end up maybe playing a few more minutes than we thought.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we probably expected that anyway, just because of the nature of the Championship, where you've got so many 3-game weeks. You're going to have to use all your resources as best as you possibly can, especially once you get a couple of key injuries. Obviously, we know Charles is likely out until Christmas. And even after then, he's probably going to take a little bit of time to get back up to speed. So, yeah, we need Jander to stay fit. He's slotted in well and looks like he's pretty comfortable where he is now. First couple of games I would suggest was a bit of a learning curve for him, but since then he's looked very, very comfortable. Downes, has been really hit and miss. We didn't really mention him on Thursday, actually, which I completely forgot. There were 3 or 4 occasions in that first half where he received the ball from a centre-back and he had like a 10-yard radius of space. Like nobody was behind him or anything. And his immediate thought was, well, I'm just going to play a bounce pass straight back to him or across to the other centre-back. And just the sort of irritation and sort of almost fury from people around me was palpable. It was like,
he did that a couple of times yesterday as well.
Need to have a little bit more game awareness, and because I'm sure I'm sure his kind of spatial awareness and kind of game situation reading was a lot better under Martin 2 years ago. So I don't know whether whether there's, I mean, there could be all sorts going on. I mean, obviously he's had illness issues. Obviously went off yesterday with this injury, so perhaps he's been playing through other niggles. So he's not looked quite up to speed. Maybe there's, and I mean, maybe there's the stuff that we've been discussing in terms of relationships with managers and not being happy at how they're being utilised, or just not being happy or comfortable in their situation, and that does have an impact on people. So yeah, I mean, we could do with Flynn being fit, and if he's not, then we definitely need Oriel fit. I mean, I think in an ideal world, you would probably not want to be kind of throwing a 34-year-old who's not played for 7 or 8 months into immediate 90-minute requirement in the Championship. But we are, and where
expectations
we
are going to be quite high, aren't they?
Oh, they are.
Through no fault of his own, we're going to be expecting the player we saw last time.
I mean, it's kind of not. I mean, it's not the fault of his, but he comes in with a reputation, having demonstrated his ability and kind of all round game in previous years. He got a move to Barcelona even after he left us. So clearly has been no mug in terms of playing at a good level. So yeah, I think there's expectation that he's going to come in and he's going to be a good player for us. And I don't think that's necessarily unfair, to be honest.
I did a brilliant interview with Oriel on Friday, and he really is like.
If you do say so yourself.
If I do say so, I mean he gave
raring to go.
He gave the good interview rather than me producing it, but he's every bit of the man that you know him to be, I guess. He did say, and he would say this, but he did say that he wouldn't have rejoined if he didn't think he was genuinely able to help on the pitch. So I think he's like raring to go and to play a lot of minutes and to be an important part of the team. But we spoke about so many different things. He said to me that obviously Jack Stevens will remain captain from what he's seen in the few days that he's been here. That's the right choice, and that he's just here to help him and all this sort of stuff. But we also spoke about his trip to Nepal in 2017, hanging around with the Sherpas and the Yaks and all this sort of stuff. And we had a chat about his old YouTube channel. If nobody knows, he's got a YouTube channel where he did. I won't spoil it, but he's got some funny videos on YouTube that you can find if you're niche enough. It's got like 200 subscribers, so it might be hard to find. But yeah, I left that conversation thinking they've signed a brilliant person. They've signed a brilliant, hopefully, player as well. As Glenn mentioned, to go to Barcelona at the age of 32, obviously where he'd come through the academy after helping Girona to a sort of top 10 finish in their first season in the top flight. He's incredible. Yeah, and he's not been injured really. He's had one injury in the last 3 years. So yeah, fingers crossed he can replicate that.
Fingers crossed. The international break, Glenn, I mean, people will say it's poorly timed because, we just won a couple of games and you want to crack on with the next. But at the same time, that does mean that someone like Romeo can get a bit of extra training in. And also, we've got a new manager to find. So it gives him a little bit more time perhaps to make that decision.
Well, firstly, on Oriel, I don't think he'll be that far away fitness-wise. When he says he's been training on his own, because of the sort of man that he is, the sort of player that he is, I imagine he will be pretty much up to the levels. And it sounded like he wanted to play on Saturday as well.
Not going to be like a Rebo or when Bella Kotchap came in that time. It's going to be slightly
Bella Kotchap, my God.
Turning circle of a tank.
Yeah. So I don't think he's going to be that far away. So I would anticipate he will certainly be in the squad for the Charlton game. If not, it wouldn't surprise me if he starts. He might only play 60 minutes, but I don't think he's going to be too far away. But yeah, and we got the new manager thing, which we haven't talked about it yet. Of course, we won a game like we always thought we were going to, and now Tonda Eckert is 2 out of 2, and of course the noise is increasing. We should give him the permanent job. I'm still firmly in the no camp because. This is just repeat what I said on Thursday. This is one of the best jobs in football outside of the Premier League. So get someone who's suitable for that. If you can get someone in, then you should. I think part of the issue with Saints fans is that we don't trust what Sport Republic are going to do, and there's no way of predicting what Sport Republic are going to do. Eckert, on the face of it, has got even less experience than Will Still. Will Still's profile is seen as being part of the problem with these set of players that we've got. And like them or not, we've got to get the most out of these set of players. So what manager is going to come in and get the best out of these set of players? It's a tough one, and I don't trust Sport Republic to do the right thing. They may well appoint Gary O'Neill. They may well appoint Tonda Eckert. I wouldn't go near either of those. But I mean, I can see Eckert still being in the position for the Charlton game, not as the permanent manager. I think, the normal thing to do would be to appoint someone in the international window, but this is Sport Republic we're talking about. So they're not going to do the normal thing. So it wouldn't surprise me if it goes on for 2 or 3 more weeks. And if Eckert keeps winning, if we win the next 3, 4, 5 games, then the conversation probably becomes slightly different. But maybe if we lose a couple,
the solution here clearly is to keep him as a permanent interim. Because if he can continue winning as an interim, but we're worried about him doing a Sellers as soon as he gets the gig permanently, keep him as the interim.
Yeah, I guess it's what's available. So maybe say they've got a first choice somewhere, but he's not available at the moment. So then maybe you leave the current guy in place for a few weeks. But the problem comes is that Steve's solution there, if you leave him in and then he starts losing and it becomes apparent that actually we need to get someone in, then you're getting someone in a panic, aren't you? You're getting someone in pretty quickly, and then, you can end up appointing the wrong guy, and they don't need any help appointing the wrong guy, as we know. So
they've done that.
Yeah, I know it's Johannes Spors is there now, and he's probably the one mainly tasked with appointing the new manager, but we all know Ankerson's still involved in some respects. So is there an issue there? Is he going to want some data-driven guy from Denmark or whatever? There's lots that can go right with this and lots that can go wrong. And with Sport Republic, it's never simple. So it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks. I suggest staying away from all the aggregator accounts and just seeing what happens.
And especially Alan Nixon.
Footy Insider and anything to do with Charlie Austin, just keep away from it.
I guess the 2 wins, Alfie, has brought us, obviously 6 points, but also maybe a little bit more time as well. Had we lost one of those games, it might be slightly different. They've got a little bit of time now because we got the points on the board that we were expecting.
Yeah, well, what I would say is the Facebook comments on the Daily Echo Saints page is normally a very scary place. It's normally a very, very scary place, even for me to go in there and just have a read of them, or especially for me sometimes. But what I would say is that there is almost absolute agreement, it feels like, under the article that George wrote today about whether they should appoint Tonda. And I think the general verdict was they shouldn't do it permanently, but he has given them breathing space, has given them time. They don't need to panic and rush into somebody for, who isn't the right man, as Glenn has sort of said. And the comments seem to be totally agreed among the Saints fans. They totally agree that they would probably, unless there's a standout candidate out there and throws random names out, like unless there's a Carlos Corberán who's available, or a Marco Rose, or somebody that gets people excited, Brendan Rodgers, whatever it is, whoever your flavour is, unless that person is out there, then give Tonda 2 more games, 3 more games, 4 more games. And it's very unusual that you get that sort of agreement on something like that amongst people. Obviously, the flip side of that is that there is 11 games from the moment we get back at Charlton and like the end of the new year or something like that. It's 11 games in the space of like a month. If you end up having to panic into an appointment, as Glenn has sort of mentioned, you could end up that process going through 3 or 4 games, and you've suddenly lost a lot of time and a lot of ground. So I do see both sides of it. But for me, the fans seem to be agreed that Tonda has done all right, and that he can have another couple of games if that's what happens.
It's just funny that he's now won more league games than Nathan Jones, Simon Rusk, and Juric, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
There is obviously the thing that Steve mentioned on Thursday is that we have now reached the maximum win quota for Sport Republic for this manager. So maybe we do need to get another interim.
You got to move on. Yeah. Is there a bit of urgency, Steve, because Norwich have also pulled the trigger and Middlesbrough have got a hunt for a new manager? Does that make things a little bit more urgent?
Possibly. I guess it depends on where you kind of place us in the sort of pecking order. Neither of those two sides have got the benefit of parachute payments. I think if you were doing a squad comparison purely on paper, Our squad is better than both of theirs by some distance. Obviously, the game isn't played on paper; it's played on grass, and Middlesbrough are, I think, third at the moment. So they're doing well with the resources they've got at the moment. Would someone coming in be able to maintain that? Maintain what Rob Edwards has been able to do with them? Who knows? I mean, Carrick got sacked at the end of last season because it felt like they were trending in the wrong direction. And I think when you looked at the squad makeup sort of over the summer, they looked like a side that was going to be bobbing around in mid-table for a while. Norwich have massively underperformed. And as a result, they seem to be another side whose kind of ownership and management structure is all a little bit all over the place. No kind of accountability. Nobody taking responsibility for anything. And as a result, I do kind of wonder whether people would necessarily want to go into that environment. They don't have parachute payments, so there's not the budget there. And then you look at us. The issue with us is basically the off-field uncertainty, really, in terms of accountability. But if they can actually kind of almost draw an organisation chart and make people stick to their roles rather than people sticking their fingers in all kinds of other pies that don't concern them, then actually there could be some kind of semblance of a structure. And you've obviously got to keep the key people in situ for long enough for them to make a difference. And then all of a sudden, our job is probably, I would say, comfortably the sort of best of the three available.
Yeah.
But if you're going purely on league table, then Middlesbrough losing Rob Edwards is more of a problem than Norwich binning off what's his name, Liam Manning.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I still think ours is a prime job for anybody outside the Premier League.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
And ordinarily, I would say it'd be way ahead of both Middlesbrough and Norwich in terms of sort of desirability. But obviously, people who look at the
you ever been to Middlesbrough?
Well, yes, yeah, many times, straight in, straight out every time. But yeah, people will look at the league table and use that as a barometer for which job should be the most attractive. But you got to scratch below the skin, below the surface, really, to kind of get the real answer. I do think that our job is still the most desirable of the three, but it does depend on the people doing the appointing, getting shit done.
And I think we'd all like to see Russell Martin back at Norwich, wouldn't we? So that'd be one more out of the way.
Yeah.
So
Gary O'Neill at Middlesbrough, Russell Martin at Norwich.
Job done. And then we'll take Gareth Southgate or something. I don't know. Who knows? Before we move on to Charlton, anything else on the game yesterday? The manager, the atmosphere, everybody seems fairly positive for a change, which is good.
Yeah, I was watching a couple of players, and Leo Cienza I was watching, and I was trying to work out, what he does differently that other players don't do. And it's just one thing I noticed. He always passes the ball in front of the player to allow them to keep going forward. The amount of times he laid the ball in front of Ryan Manning to allow him to either hit a cross in first time or take a player on or whatever. And it's a huge difference to what we've been doing the last 2 or 3 years, where we always seem to pass the ball to the position the players just left, and they end up coming back and recycling it. And I just noticed that about him. There's if you watch just the short highlights of the game, a couple of balls he puts in front of Ryan Manning, which are absolutely perfectly weighted. They look fairly simple on the face of it. And Finn Azaz is doing the same thing as well. So I don't know if this is just, this is what these two players do. Maybe this is something Tonda Eckert's told them to concentrate on, because I was only really looking for it yesterday.
Well, it should be absolute basics, shouldn't it?
It should be, yeah. It should be, yeah. But
this is stuff I've been raising for years on here, constantly. The number of games back, even under Hasenhüttl, we were putting passes out to the fullback, but putting it on their weaker foot, and they've then got to come back and pass it backwards.
But it was I thought it was a notable change yesterday. But we've been doing this for 2 or 3 years. I'm not blaming Russell Martin for everything, but it was certainly a feature of his game where we played it out to the wide players and they'd come back inside and recycle the ball either sideways or backwards. And the move, if we had a sort of break where we had broken the lines and we got forward a bit, we ended up allowing every single player to get back virtually every time. And it was just a little sea change there. And the other thing I noticed from yesterday was how good Tom Fellows is when he is allowed to run forward. And again, against a weaker side, he obviously wasn't as concerned about the defensive side of the game as he has been, like at QPR, for example. And you really got to see what sort of player he can be. And I still think it is essential to get us playing with a back four and to have him and Azaz and Cienza doing their thing, going in the right direction up the pitch.
I guess the Wroclaw injury might have put pay to that for a
it doesn't help.
While we'll have to maybe wait and see what happens.
Maybe Yellett's fit after the international window.
It's a good shout. Is
Wroclaw out for a while? Do we know how long?
No, there's no verdict on that. To be fair, he wanted to play on, so I'd imagine he's probably fine. I think Tonda said that he basically made the decision to bring him off before he'd even assessed him, really, because he just wanted to get the game going and keep the energy up. So I think he's fine.
Yeah. Should we do a player of the week? It's been a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shall we? We'll put a couple of names out on social media. Do you want to go first, Alfie? Anybody stand up for you?
I've given him his fair share of criticism this season, so I'll give some back to him when he deserves it. I will go for Taylor Howard-Bellis to put him in the list.
Okay. Steve?
I think Leo Cienza, just overall. I mean, I don't think he necessarily had his best game yesterday, but the two games we've had this week where he's been the guy that we always turn to. And for the most part, he'll pull something out of the bag, and he was energetic for the first hour yesterday. I think ultimately we're probably going to get that a lot from him. We'll get an hour out of him at full pelt, and then we have to take him off and replace him with someone else who can hopefully keep the momentum up. But yeah, he's been great. Even through that barren run, he was kind of the sort of beacon of hope for everybody. And he's kept it going this week as well.
He enjoyed it at the end as well, didn't he?
To be fair, on Leo, he's obviously a very good player, so he can back it up and can do it. But he knows how to get people on side. That's for sure. He's doing all the right things to win fans over, which is fair enough.
Love it. Bring it on. Glenn, any names from you?
Adam Armstrong.
Yep.
I think he's been excellent in both the games. I got a bit of flack for saying that about his performance at QPR, which you disagree with me, so what? I don't care. I thought he played well against QPR. Bringing others into play, which is, as we've said, is not always a strength. I thought he was excellent yesterday. The amount of effort he put in closing people down, lots of sprinting to get in the right position. Scored a lovely goal as well. Really good finish. And go with Adam Armstrong.
Yeah, a few people agreeing with you in the comments as well. Jander and Fellows getting a couple of mentions too. So we'll get that poll up on our socials a little bit later on, and we'll see what we think. Let's move on. So we've got the international break coming up, and then it's Charlton. It's the lunchtime kickoff. This isn't until the 22nd of November. The Nathan Jones derby. Steve, this is going to be a test for whoever's in charge, isn't it? Because whether he was there or not, they're doing all right, and it's going to be a tough afternoon.
It's going to be a test of everybody's patience, I think. The build up to it is going to be nauseating from his direction. People from whoever's in charge, if it's Tonda Eckert or somebody else, they're obviously going to get asked about him, and they'll play a straight batted answer, and it'll be like, why are you asking me about him? I don't care. But Nathan Jones will absolutely make it about him. We know this. We've seen what he's been like even on was it last week where they got a 95th minute winner against West Brom, and you see these photos of him stood up on the stand, sort of arms out wide, as if it
like he's won the cup,
as if it's all about him. We know what we're gonna be contending with. Charlton are a solid team. I mean, they do what Nathan Jones does in this division, which is you defend well, you defend in numbers, and you find a way to be clinical at the other end. They got a young striker, Tonda Eckert, who they signed from Stockport. But he came through Millwall's academy, and he'd been on loan at Sutton United for 3 years. So I'd seen him sort of up close a lot during that period, and his kind of progression from sort of raw player in the National League to then suddenly looking like a world beater in League Two a year later, and for him to now be kind of looking like he belongs in the Championship is an incredible sort of real rapid progress over the course of like 3 or 4 years. But he looks, I mean, he's big and strong, and he can finish, and he's gonna cause us problems, I think. James Bree obviously can't play, so they'll have to find
best
another
player.
option. Well, yeah, but it's interesting, isn't it? Because they've obviously got Bree and they've got Kane Ramsey. Now, is Ramsey playing in a different role now?
Kane Ramsey's playing as a right centre half, yeah, but I imagine he could slip into the James Bree role quite comfortably.
Yeah. So both of those obviously are ex-Saints. Well, Bree technically current Saints, but obviously he can't play. So Ramsey's performances have been excellent. He was good at where did they sign him from? Harrogate, I think, and he was. I mean, he was basically the best player in League Two by absolute miles. Got the step up to League One with Charlton, and again, looks really at home in this division. So they're a solid team. They're not going to be a pushover. I mean, it's odd that you kind of say Nathan Jones teams aren't a pushover, and yet most of the time with us they were. So but it's a game you're going to have to stand up and be counted. We don't have a good record at the Valley, and we've got built up a little bit of momentum now, which we'll see what the 2 week break does to that. But
yeah, that's the only thing, isn't it? In a way, it's a shame, but
yeah.
Couple of injuries and stuff.
I think everybody could do with the rest. Frankly,
yeah.
It's been a stressful few weeks with everything that's gone on. A little bit of opportunity to sort of relax and recover and pick ourselves up and go again.
Us included, I think. They don't give much away, do they, Alfie? I've not really followed or seen many of their games, but they've get your 1-0 win here and there, and I think, is it 2 defeats in 11? So whatever they're doing it well.
Yeah, they've conceded 12 goals in the league this season, whereas Saints have conceded 21. So it's a much better defensive record, but that's what Nathan Jones' bread and butter is, right? So we sort of knew that. I mean, they've had some real hallmark results as well. They went to Ipswich and won 3-0. They've won quite a few games on the road, 1-0. But, I mean, what's impressive, and to be fair to Nathan Jones, is the team's built. I mean, obviously, they were a League One team last season that came up, and the team is built with a lot of players who he's brought up from League One, from other clubs, from League Two. I mean, obviously, you mentioned Kane Ramsey, Steve. Obviously, they've got Lloyd Jones, who's come from a League One side. They've got Sonny Carey, Harvey Nibbs, I think, was at Reading. Sonny Carey's at Blackpool. So they've got a team of players who, we look at the likes of Hull, for example. You can pinpoint, Ollie McBurney. There's, a couple other big names in there. Whereas Charlton, it's a team full of players who I imagine a lot of people won't be familiar with. Thomas Kaminsky in goal, played for Luton, but not really badly played. And he's doing a really good job with them. So, yeah, it's going to be tough. I know that people won't like the media circus that comes before it, but obviously this is showbiz, and I'm looking forward to it. It should be fun. Yeah, but I mean, look, Nathan Jones' tenure has been well chronicled at Saints, but I think I don't think it was all his fault, is what I'm saying.
You can go to his press conference.
I'm not sure that would be a good idea, but I mean, I might. Now you've mentioned it, I might try. But I mean, look, he managed 8 games for Saints in a 38-game season, so there was obviously a lot of other things, and he's done a really good job. He was Championship Manager of the Year when Saints got him, and he's doing really well this year.
Yeah, it doesn't bode well, does it, Glenn? I'm a little bit nervous about this one, to be honest.
It is what it is. I prefer to concentrate on the two teams on the pitch. There will be a lot of stuff about Nathan Jones, of course, but that shouldn't really affect the players too much. Have we got any players who were aware of him or played with him? You know, I mean, Jack Stevens probably.
McCarthy probably is it? People that have been around a while.
Was Jack Stevens even in the team? Because
he was at Bournemouth.
We had people like Azaz, didn't we? And Lianco and people like that who Nathan Jones picked. Well, you know, so I don't really think it's strictly relevant. I mean, be interested from our fans' point of view. With the Gary O'Neill stuff recently, I'll be casting my mind forward to what happens if we play them at Fratton Park and he's in our dugout. It's going to be like Harry Redknapp all over again. You know, it'll give them a hate figure to get themselves riled up. But I don't think Nathan Jones was here long enough for him to be a hate figure. He wasn't a figure of hate. He's a figure of fun, wasn't he? I mean, because
it's just a parody of himself.
I mean that press conference he gave after we got absolutely mullered at Brentford was just staggering. That was all his Welsh mining village, and I could have met a nice Welsh girl, but I decided to leave, and all this sort of rubbish. And you know, it was just. I mean, it was hilarious, wasn't it? I mean, part of me hopes he gets promoted with Charlton, and then he can go and have another go at the Premier League, and it will just be hilarious.
But, my word, if that squad was to be in the Premier League with him, they'd absolutely.
But it would be hilarious, and it wouldn't be us cringing away in the background. It was hilarious for everyone else, wasn't it? So, but no, I got no real issue with Nathan Jones. He's done well after that car crash. He's done well to rebuild his reputation and his career at Charlton, but I don't think he's destined for anything higher than the Championship. But you know, he's done well. I don't think he's strictly relevant. Yes, he will be annoying, and he will be bouncing around like Tigger all over the place, won't he? In the in the game, but you know, we've just got to get on with our job, which is to, you know, probably stay in the game. It'll be an attritional kind of game. I mean, I haven't really paid much attention to them, but I've seen they've won a few games late on. So, you know, that's the sort of thing. And that's where
1-0 here and there, isn't it? They've had a couple of wins, but
we need to have more control in the second half, certainly, than what we had against Sheffield Wednesday. We won't be able to let them have 70% possession because, you know, I can see us cracking. We have to match their work rate. And after the last two games, I feel more confident that we will do that. If we'd had this game in the middle of Will Still's run, I wouldn't have fancied it at all. But I don't see any reason why we can't go there and get a result.
Should we do some predictions? Just in our predictions league, only 9 of the players didn't think that we would win against Sheffield Wednesday. 24 players correctly predicted the 3-1 outcome. Shout to, I think it's Gaza, who's currently top of the league with 6 correct scores so far this season. And Dan Sheeran is in 25th place, but has had 9 correct outcomes so far. So if you want to know what the result is going to be, speak to Dan or Gaza, because they clearly know what they're doing. Let's do our predictions, Steve. Got to throw your mind forward a couple of weeks to Charlton. How do you see this one playing out?
Low scoring. I would imagine most of Charlton's games have been. The kind of exception to that was their really weird 3-0 win at Ipswich, where Ipswich had 33 shots, and Charlton win 3-0. Utterly unfathomable sort of game, and you kind of imagine, well, we can't possibly see that sort of stuff again. Hold my beer, etc., and so on. But no, I think it'll be a tight game. They will look to keep it solid. I imagine we will probably try and be reasonably defensively sound because that's still where we look a little bit ropey, I think. And lunchtime game straight after the international break. How are we going to get? How do people get up for that? It's these lunchtime kickoffs, and we got loads of them now, haven't we? Because the new TV deal doesn't have a Saturday 5:30 kickoff. And you just don't give people enough time to kind of build themselves up for the game. So I would imagine it might be a little bit flat. I think there's engineering works on the trains as well, so it's going to be a bit of a pain. People getting into London as well, so proper early start for everybody. So yeah, as I say, low scoring. I think it would be possibly a goal either way. I mean, Charlton got the record of scoring late winners. But it'll be nice to kind of stick one to Nathan Jones just for shits and giggles. So 1-0 Saints.
1-0, right? Okay, Glenn.
I was going to say virtually the same as Steve, almost word for word. I think you might have nicked my speechwriter. So just to be a little bit different, I think I'll go with us having turned a bit of a corner, but let's go for 2-1 for Saints. A tight game, but I think we'll be able to handle the what Charlton have got. So let's go for a 2-1 win.
Predicting wins. How times have changed, Alfie.
Well, I'm going to bring it back down to earth slightly. I forgot to mention that 12 goals conceded by Charlton is the lowest in the league of any team, by the way. So they have the best defensive record. I'll go for a 1-1 draw, and hopefully we get the late one rather than they do.
Right, okay. Fair dues. If you want to play along, all you need is your Patreon login, and you can find the leaderboard and how to play over on the website. Just head to totalsaints.co.uk. Any other bits before we finish? I know, Alfie, you were at the under-21s, weren't you? The draw with Arsenal on
before we do that,
as well?
Glenn's got something very important to share.
The FPL is on the list.
Come on.
Do you want to talk FPL first, Glenn? Who's top?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't want to brag, but if anyone goes and has a look, you'll see a team called Still Breathing, which is a kind of name that's not really relevant anymore. There's a team called Still Breathing that are top of the league, managed by me. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because I am usually mid-table, low rubbish in this. I don't know what's going on.
What's the secret?
Nick Voltemada got him in at the start, and he seems to have done well. So, so there you go. I am top, and now it's recorded. And this episode will always be on
the
YouTube,
count,
and it will completely go to shit in the next few weeks, I'm sure. But
maybe we should do some T-shirts with the table printed on it.
Come on, yes.
They'll be tapping you up for the FPL podcast that they do, getting you on, getting you to reveal some secrets. Well, there we go. We'll keep an eye on it. The under-21s. I mean, we sort of talked about the lad making his debut on Saturday, didn't we? That was, I think it was the third academy player to make a debut in the league this season. Under-21s, great draw, decent goal, at least getting back into that game against Arsenal. So that continues their good form.
Yeah, top 4 or 5 in the under-21s Premier League again, Premier League 2. So they're, despite what some people might write about the academy being in flux, whatever, they're actually performing at the highest level they have done for a long time. They in the 18s and the 21s, they're in the top sort of 4 or 5 teams in the country for the last couple of years. They've sold Tyler Diblin for 35-40 million quid in the summer. You've got Jay Robinson starting and scoring in the first team. To me, it sounds like the academy is doing fine, but you've got to write something, haven't you, these days? Good result on the weekend against Arsenal. Obviously, drew 1-1 with them, and surprise, Nick Oyukunle scored. Surprise, Moses Cisse set him up, and it's a really good goal. I retweeted a video of it. It's a little short free kick routine. Oyukunle smashed it into the top corner. Maybe he could be in the first team, honestly. Maybe he could be at this point. Maybe he could be, coming on for those minutes that Flynn Downes is getting at the moment, possibly. But yeah, they started really poorly in the first half against Arsenal, and then the second half they played really well, hit the crossbar twice in the last sort of 10 minutes. And I think Matty Etherington he's unbeaten as 21's interim boss. Whenever his main guy goes up and whatever, with Simon Rusk,
which happens quite a lot.
True. And now with Tonda, so I think that if for any reason that 21's job was to come available, I think you've got to give it to Matty Etherington, proper Premier League Barclays man. But yeah, doing a good job.
And the women's team lost 2-0. I know Charlton are top of the table, but they lost 2-0 this afternoon.
2-1.
Was it 2-1 in the end?
Yeah, got last minute consolation.
Oh, I missed that. Did you see much of the game? It was always going to be a tough one against Charlton.
I didn't. I think Glenn watched bits of it.
Yeah, I watched a bit of it, and they started well. First 20 minutes were not too bad. But unfortunately, they let in 2 pretty poor goals. Slight goalkeeper errors, let's call it that. So it's not just something that's confined to our men's first team. So it wasn't great. So let in 2 poor goals, but they seem to struggle with the attacking side of the game. Saints' strength seems to be to go down the wings, but Charlton had 2 pretty solid fullbacks. So our normal sort of like route to goal was not as productive as it could have been. And I must admit, I didn't see the last 5 minutes when we obviously did score. But I saw we threw on a load of subs, 65 minutes onwards to try and get back into the game, but it was not looking particularly likely. So Charlton at the top of the league, but I didn't think they were any great shakes. Saints just don't seem to play with. There doesn't seem to be a lot of confidence when they're playing against sides higher in the table, and I think there was something to be had out of that game today.
Which is odd because they went and won at Birmingham.
Yeah.
It's really strange.
It didn't look to me like they really believed in themselves today, and but the 2 goals they conceded really didn't help.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Interesting times. Interesting couple of weeks ahead, I think. I should say that, like, in terms of the numbers on Daily Echo and people reading and sharing all sort of stuff, we're like absolutely like flown by numbers in the last couple of weeks, but also particularly today. It seems like interest from everybody is very much at a peak. So I think people are very intrigued to see what happens in the next couple of weeks, and I'm definitely one of them as well. Yeah.
Well, if there is any, I mean, obviously the international break coming up, if there is an appointment in that time, we will be here, of course, with an emergency pod. At the moment, we're not necessarily expecting anything, but if it does happen, then we'll be on it for sure. Is there anything else that we've forgotten this week? I think we've covered most things off, haven't we?
It's just nice to win at home, isn't it? My word. I mean, Alfie touched on it. It's sort of like the mood
3
of
and
the fans.
27, isn't it now?
Yeah, the mood of the fans leaving the game. You consider how miserable it was against Preston when that second goal went in, and there was virtually no one left in the ground within about 30 seconds. The difference between that and, again, all right, it was limited opposition, but we had to go out there and win it. We did. You know, the amount of people left in the ground at the end clapping the players off, and that's really all you want from a game of football, isn't it? To see. You want to see your team win, but I think we've been questioning whether they've been putting in 100% effort, and that to me is all of. Whenever we get sent those things by Saints about, you know, what do you want from a game? Do you want a flashy burger being? I don't care. All I want is to turn up 5 minutes before the game, watch 11 players in red and white give their all for 90 minutes, clap them off at the end. I don't expect to win every game, but it is nice to actually win and. You know, no one be miserable about the football when they're on their way home.
I thought the players' celebrations at the end were quite interesting, though. Leo Cienza and Tonda Eckert aside, I felt fairly muted. They sort of reserved themselves to the middle half of the pitch. They clapped every corner and then sort of
maybe they were listening on Thursday.
And I was about to say, you know, you did say, look, that was embarrassing at QPR. We've only just won one game, and you know, I'm sure they didn't actually see that, but maybe they have had that little thought. Okay, we are 17th in the league. We've done the job today, but let's give everyone a round of applause and then let's get off and get back to business. And I felt that was the right approach at the end, rather than doing cartwheels around the pitch.
Yeah. Fair dues. Fair enough. Right, you can follow Total Saints Podcast on all the social media platforms. We're at Total Saints Pod. Head on to the website as well, which is totalsaints.co.uk. There's a link on there to the merch store where you can get all the T-shirts and pint glasses and all the other little bits that we've added to. As I mentioned earlier, you'll also find us on Patreon. That's where you can support the podcast with your monthly contribution. You head to patreon.com/Total Saints Podcast. Each of the tiers comes with different perks, including some shout-outs at the end of every podcast for those in our Francis Benali and our Mick Shannon tiers. So thank you to Dave Melton, Andy Hollis, Anthony Thompson, Gavin Ford, James Harron, Nicky Nicholson, Peter Montalabo, Southampton NY, Drew Dyer, James Kibbe, Red 76 Tax, Michael Blackmer and David Mansell. They're in our Francis Benali tier. And also thank you to Nick Reed, Dave Ernsberger, Nick Hingston, Phil Cook, Jonathan Cooper, Colt Baker, Anthony Thompson, Matt Hall, Mike Etheridge, Phil Horstrup, Mark Littlewood, James Bobin, John Bevan, Frank Thorpe, John Peacock and Andy, who are in our Mick Shannon tier. Thanks as well to Paul Castle Associates and Steamtown Brewery. They've been sponsoring TSP this season. Thank you to Steve, to Alfie and to Glenn. Thank you for watching and thank you for listening, and we will see you after the